Welcome to Border Life. This time, what are 2 million old newspapers doing in a former military base?
Ideal climatic conditions for preserving the newspapers. And we started off with a collection of 10,000 newspapers, and it's rapidly grown over the years to 2 million today.
And he's pulled this more than 2,000 miles to raise money for veterans. But how does he make it look so easy?
The long, slow hills are the worst ones because you think, is this ever going to end? But if it's a short, sharp shock, you just get up and do it.
Fiona will be meeting the Major shortly. But first, to the Solway coast, and a campaign of a different kind to clear our shorelines of plastic waste, and maybe even stop us from dumping it in the first place. Here's Sandy McCracken.
This exhibition by photographic artist Mandy Barker highlights the increasingly prescient issue of plastic waste in our oceans. And it's something that affects us strongly here in the south of Scotland, with Dumfries and Galloway alone having over 200 miles of coastline. The Solway Firth Partnership is an independent charity that focuses on the health and wealth of our coastline, placing them at the front line of tidal plastic waste. To find out more, I met with Project Officer Nick Coombe at Brighouse Bay. Nick, how big a problem are plastics in the sea?
So marine plastics is a global issue and one that needs a lot of work to sort out. Plastic lasts for a very long time, and anything that's buoyant will be blown and driven by wind and waves from all across the world. And if it's moving in this direction, then our beaches that are facing the prevailing wind just collect it up. But we know that plastics come from all over the world and arrive to us. So we even find plastics from the east coast of America and the Caribbean washed up on our beaches.
If a bit of plastic gets into the ocean, how long is it floating about there?
Well, plastic just lasts forever. We used to think, well, it breaks down and disappears. But in fact, we know that every piece of plastic that was ever made is still with us and it's just broken into smaller and smaller pieces. But even here, I have some examples. These are cotton bud sticks. A cotton bud stick was banned many years ago now, but they're still found on the beaches. They still wash up, and it'll be a while yet before that breaks down into smaller pieces.
And the plastic straw, I've not seen plastic straws in years, and here's one just floating up on the beach.
Yeah, it almost looks pristine, doesn't it? I mean, one of the great things about plastic, it's very robust. So that's why we like it so much. It doesn't break easily. But eventually this will break down into smaller and smaller pieces.
Community action, such as organised beach cleans, helped clear over 9 tonnes of marine litter from local shores last year. But it's the tiny fragments, known as microplastics or nodules, that pose one of the biggest challenges. Nick, I can see exactly what we're talking about right here.
Yes, I mean, these are the plastics. You can see some larger pieces here, but the thing with plastics is it breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, and you can see the tiny pieces along the strand line here.
So where do the nodules come from?
The nurdles are actually the raw material for plastics. So they've escaped either in transport or at the factory or where it's being made, and have got into the water and turned up here. So nurdles are a real worry because we're finding thousands of them on our beaches.
And even looking on the beach, you wouldn't spot that unless you're really looking for it, so nature's got no chance.
No, exactly, and because they look a bit like fish eggs and they float along with the plankton, they can easily get eaten by wildlife and mistaken for food, so they get gobbled up and do no end of harm.
Plastics are a pollution problem created by humans, but on our region's coastline, it threatens the fragile ecosystem of already endangered bird life in places such as Mersehead. So we've got a big chunk of plastic here.
Yeah. Bits of old fishing net and fishing line.
Andrew, tell us how plastics and microplastics affect bird life.
So you've got big bits of plastic that are floating around They get tangled up in birds' nests, seabirds' nests, so gannets, for example. And I've seen on the Solway on places that fishermen's nets, fishing line, all sorts of stuff that's been floating around has been picked up by birds, put on the nest. It then gets tangled in the legs, around the neck, so it can kill them directly in that way. Smaller bits of plastic get ingested and can get into the organs of the birds and start to make them ill. There's a new term called plasticosis, which is a bit like, the sort of diseases that miners used to get that affected the lungs. It's now these tiny bits of plastic are starting to impact indirectly on birds and their health.
So birds have been evolving for many millions of years, but plastics have only been around for the last 100 years or so they just don't really know what they are.
Again, it's a combination. They might be picking it up through food, so fish are ingesting this stuff, it then gets passed up the food chain into birds. Or it can be that they're picking it up thinking it's food. So a lot of surface feeding birds, like fulmars, will be skimming around and they'll see something, they'll think it's food, they'll ingest it directly.
What can you actually do about it for the birds themselves?
We can do beach cleans, we can try and tidy up what's coming up on the shore. We've got bins dotted around the place that we encourage the public to, if it's safe to pick it up and put it in the bin, and then we'll remove it in due course. But every tide that comes in, it'll bring in something new. But really, once stuff's ingested, there's very little we can do to help the birds. We really need to try and stop it at source and encourage everyone to reduce the use of plastic.
Well, let's get this bit off the beach at least.
Right.
Our region's long and varied coastline is one of our strongest natural assets, so it's in all our interest to keep it as clean as possible. Reusing and recycling is a small price to pay to keep our shores plastic free.
To a well-kent face now, and a name you don't forget in a hurry. Robin Hood is a serious fundraiser for veterans' charities.
When they sign up, they sign an oath of allegiance to the crown and country to go anywhere where they're sent. And that is putting their life on the line. Some go to horrible places, some do their whole career and never go to a horrible place, but they sign the oath of allegiance. And somebody has got to show some responsibility for them and help them get back on track.
For the past decade, Robin's pulled a giant statue of a Scottish squaddy the length and breadth of the country. He's taken this 20-stone figure from John O'Groats to Land's End. In 2018, he raised £100,000 by towing Jock to London to mark the end of World War I. How gruelling was that major trip?
Very depressing. After the first week, I wanted to give up, and it never stopped raining for the first week, and I hadn't got any dry clothes. And I said to my backup driver, I said, I can't carry on anymore. And he said, let's just get to Durham and see how we get on. And then the sun came out in Durham. The TV station in Durham filmed me, and a couple of days later we were in Darlington and we collected about £4,000 in the day. So then I got motivated again.
But that was then, and this is now. Today, Robin and Jock are still a familiar sight in and around Dumfries. The former Army reservist and the chunk of Douglas fir sculpted by a Moffat carver. The pair of them raising money for South West Scotland R&R.
If it's fine, I'm out working. The long, slow hills are the worst ones because you think, is this ever going to end? But if it's a short, sharp shock, you just get up and do it. As long as you keep the tyres well pumped up, if the tyres start to go flat, then it's hard work.
How important is all this to you?
I'm absolutely devoted to my job. I work 7 days a week. If the weather's good, I'm out every day. It's my life. I'm not the kind of guy who can sit at home and plant roses, and I love doing this. I love talking to people, I love being out with people, and I love making a difference.
This charity was started to give injured soldiers a much-needed holiday. Now it's focused more on getting ex-military personnel into jobs.
Because the Veterans Foundation are paying my salary, the money that I raise helps me get a veteran back into work. And over the last 10 years, I've got 92 people employed. 11 of those 92 were homeless when I met them, and now they've all got their dignity back. They've got something to be focused on, and everybody benefits because they have got their lives back. Not burdening the NHS with PTSD issues, not committing petty crime, and the children are happier because the parents are happier.
This is how many of the veterans find work. Nationally, there's a serious shortage of lorry drivers. Coming in with military skills is an added bonus.
So, as before, checking the tread, making sure it is 1 mil, checking for any missing wheel nuts, any visible damage or rust line.
Here at this Dumfries training centre, Sandy Brown is teaching another veteran the rules of the road.
So that's your external checks done, just the cab checks to do.
Happy
I'll let
days.
you hop in, I'll get in the other side.
All right, see you there. Right.
There we go. You're fine.
Wipers,
Washers.
with fluid, wipers and washers, that's all good.
Okay. Height marker.
Height marker up there, 12'2".
Good, so you've got to make sure you know what height you're at.
Yep.
Right, foot in the foot brake.
Yep. Fully
Into
depressed.
reverse.
Into reverse.
Yep. Confirm it on the actual gauge. Yep.
Confirmed.
Handbrake off. Check mirrors.
Mirrors. Yeah, no one underneath the front. And gently. Say when.
Good. Try and brake.
And brakes are braking. There we go. Awesome.
James Rees-Dobbs worked in the army in search and disposal before leaving after being injured. Now he's looking for new skills.
First time today,
Yeah.
out in the lorry, up in the cab.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Fun. Good fun. Little boys, it's boys' toys, isn't it? It's a really good life skill. If you weren't fortunate enough in your service to get an HGV licence, it is one of those things that you'll be able to go into loads of places to get work, employment, skill.
So in a few months' time, we might see you out on the road in a lorry.
Fingers crossed.
Sandy, how many veterans have you trained here?
Quite a few. Yeah, into the dozens anyways, I think.
And how do they shape up?
Good, yeah. Some of them have already moved large vehicles in the military, and then it sets them up nice for coming to do this.
And we do need drivers, don't we, lorry drivers? There's a big shortage of them.
We're essential workers. Basically, when COVID happened, lorry drivers were essential workers out there, still delivering fuel and goods to all the shops. Shortage-wise, I think we're still about 60,000 short in the UK of qualified drivers.
Tell me, do you get many ladies?
Yeah, we get quite a few, yeah, and generally they make better candidates than the guys that come to do it.
Meanwhile, back in Dumfries town centre, Robin has another, gentler way of fundraising. Helped by Scots Guards veteran Dougie McQueen, he's selling flowers. Over the years, Robin has raised a small fortune to help veterans.
People just so generous, and the fact that people locally know that the majority of what they give me goes to get somebody employed has a huge impact.
So where do you go from here, Robin?
I'm thinking about when I'm 70 in June, walking from Holyrood to Downing Street to highlight to the government the need for helping veterans.
So that's on the cards, is it?
I think so. I'll have to see what my wife says.
And we wait with bated breath. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Now, there's something most of us just chuck away, which is what can make an old newspaper quite valuable, especially if it happens to have been printed on your birthday. Bruce Mackenzie explains.
From the air, it's clear that Baldoon Field, the wartime RAF Wigton, is a place with a past. But these days its role in history is very different, as home to a massive archive of 2 million newspapers, dating back over 100 years. And it's no accident that this business is based here.
It's just an ideal climate for preserving newspapers. Normally it's quite dark and damp. Not like today, which is a lovely sunny day, but it's ideal climatic conditions for preserving the newspapers. And we started off with a collection of 10,000 newspapers, and it's rapidly grown over the years to 2 million today.
The business dates back to the 1980s, when its founders saw an opportunity in offering customers the chance to buy an original newspaper from their birthday or wedding day. And it's gone on to become an international operation. John trained in history and then museum studies, and has spent 29 years caring for what's become a valuable product.
They're only designed to last for 24 hours, the newspapers. If a newspaper is that little bit more fragile, again, would put a note in and say, because during the Second World War there was newspaper rationing, so papers were very thin, and so they tend to be quite fragile compared to much older papers. But yes, a paper that's designed to last for a day, we've keeping for 100 years or more.
Soon the pages were being set up and the machines are starting off.
The role of newspapers has changed massively as other forms of media began to compete. And that's shown by sales. In the 1950s, UK newspapers sold around 30 million copies a year. Nowadays, it's around a tenth of that. But the drop in day-to-day sales hasn't affected this business. In fact, they say they're getting busier. Sandra is one of those who makes sure the papers go out in their best condition, with some requiring a little restoration, and she says people order them for all kinds of reasons.
It's mostly birthdays, and obviously the people's birthdays are right through the year, so it continues through. Anniversaries, yeah, we have the first wedding anniversary is a paper anniversary. We have people ordering for it. And then you get your silver or golden weddings, and it's nice for them to see, because certainly they wouldn't have kept a paper back from when they were married back then. So yeah, that's most of what we send out for.
Well, John, we've pulled out a wee selection of papers here that tell a few big moments in history, but really they reflect the fact that the newspaper's roles changed in telling the news, don't they?
That's right. If you look at the Glasgow Herald, how it reported the Titanic, well, look at how the Glasgow Herald itself has changed. Not much sign on the front page of the Titanic disaster, but if you look inside, and there you go there. So see there how the coverage has changed. Nowadays you'd get great big headlines and photographs and what have you, but still lots of information there. It's just in very small writing. It's got all the latest news, all the detail on survivors, but just incredibly small writing. Today you'd probably get that over 30 pages with the same amount of information. Just look at the huge size of that to try and handle.
Yeah.
You try and lift that up.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
If Titanic wasn't instantly front page news, the moon landing in 1969 certainly was. John's collection shows that that was the only story in town.
How do you get a flavour here of how differently the papers were seeing that huge event?
Yes, they all take their personal slant on it. Some of them have the big historic headline. Other ones, they're more to do with the personal aspect of it. But if you look at the Evening Standard as well, look at the first photograph from the moon, you can hardly make it out at all. It's so grainy. But how the digital technology and photography has improved over the years is just incredible.
The wall was crumbling.
As a child, I remember vividly watching the fall of the Berlin Wall on TV news. But the papers that told that historic news had become a very different shape by the late 1980s.
Here are a couple of the newspapers, and again, we can see the papers have moved. They're still big broadsheets, but they've narrowed down a bit, haven't they?
Yes, the Herald's still a broadsheet, but the Scotsman has gone down to tabloid now. This is what the Scotsman looks like now, so it's quite a different paper, and it's quite a recent one, but for the change like this, but you can see how it's changed over the years.
And interesting as well that the difference in style of reporting. Here we've got, the Herald have gone for photos of the people involved, whereas the Scotsman it's a bit more abstract. It's just a shot of Checkpoint Charlie lying a bit deserted.
Yes, and a very formal headline, Berlin Wall consigned to history.
This business has found a way to turn a throwaway item into a valuable product, supporting more than a dozen jobs in Wigtonshire. In an era where most of us get our news online, there's no doubting the nostalgia involved, harking back to a time when a newspaper was part of life in most homes up and down the country. And it turns out it wasn't just for the news.
One of the things that's quite nice is that you can sometimes see that this is a newspaper that's been read and pored over, and there might be a little smudge here or there, or crossword half filled in.
That's right. It all adds to the authenticity of the paper, and so when we have something like that, we put a little note in to explain, that it is an original newspaper, and somebody has attempted the crossword, and you might like to try and finish it off.
And that's it from Border Life this week. We'll see you again next time.